let's jump in. So here's what I want to do. I want to go through my top 10, how I see it right now in college football. And there has been a lot of changes, by the way. And I think that there's some revelations, if you want to call it that. I do have to get to a few of the games that we saw over the weekend and react to those. And so we'll do that. So it's going to be a busy show, a full show here on a Monday, reacting to college football. Let's get after it. Again, did not put out my top 10 on Saturday night via my Twitter/X account at Joel Klatt. It's right here. This is my new top 10 in college football after last weekend. At number 10, I have moved them down again, but Texas is going to be number 10. I know that Arch played a lot better, and certainly that is, I would say that's heartening for the Texas fans. There's no doubt about that. 5 total touchdowns, only 3 incompletions against Sam Houston. Hey, that's great. Defense still top 5 in the country. I feel like I know that the defense is going to be just fine. Now the question is just like, what Arch are we going to get from week to week? Because there's been some drastic inconsistencies with the way that he's played. Obviously, it's a great sign moving forward. If he's able to play the level of football he did last week against Sam Houston, if that continues, then this is not a 10th ranked team. They're a 3rd ranked team or a 4th ranked team. So listen, this can change, and it can change in a hurry, but the lack of consistency to this point, I think you'll understand with some of the performances that we've seen from other teams around the country, they're going to be at number 10. Maybe controversial that this team is going to jump them and go all the way to 9. But listen, what we saw Saturday night in Bloomington was ridiculous. Indiana is going to be my number 9 team. That team is freaking good, man. Oh my goodness. What a performance against Illinois. And Illinois was ranked in the top 10. A lot of us thought highly of Illinois. They had 16 starters back from a team that won double-digit games last year. And Indiana just took them behind the shed. It was not even close. That Indiana team is very good, and I'm going to discuss them more at length a little bit later in the program because I think that it deserves it. But for right now, the top 10 purposes, Indiana is going to be number 9. At 8, I'm going Oklahoma. So OU gets another win, and it's another big win for them. This time they get their former quarterback, Jackson Arnold, and Auburn, and they get them in their home stadium and beat them. Mateer is playing well, maybe as well as anybody in the country. Let's say it quite frankly. The defense, though, this is really the thing that has me most excited about Oklahoma is the fact that it's not just some wide open offense or some quarterback with a cape on his back. It's that the defense is real. This defense was outstanding against Auburn. I'll talk about them a little bit more later in the program, but for right now, Oklahoma is number 8 in the country. At number 7, listen, there's just been more teams that have been more impressive, and every single week this resume gets, I don't know what's the word. It gets decimated. Maybe too strong of a word. It gets hurt. Every week, this resume gets weaker and weaker and weaker. I'm talking about LSU. So they're going to be number 7. I had them all the way up at number 2 at one point after that win over Clemson. But now the way that they've played, the way that Clemson has played, some of their games that they have played since, like I can't in good conscience put LSU in the top 5. And I think even an LSU fan would understand that. Again, with some of the performances that we've seen around the country and the consistency that we've seen from some of these teams around the country. The Clemson win is now not a good win. There's no other way to put it. By the way, more on Clemson later in the program. So LSU is going to be number 7. At 6, here's a team that gets this big win week 1, and we're like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Maybe this other team got all the focus, and it's like, what happened to them? I'm talking about Florida State. They beat up on Alabama really soundly. And since then, all Alabama has done is totally right the ship, and they're playing way better. Their quarterback, Ty Simpson, has been terrific. Ryan Williams returns, and he's terrific in that win over Wisconsin. And now in hindsight, I'm thinking to myself, hold on a second. Alabama beating them the way that Florida State did was crazy. So Florida State is going to be number 6. They've totally taken care of business emphatically since that win over Alabama. They had 775 total yards against Kent State, nearly 500 of them on the ground. They are 2nd in the country in rushing at 363 yards per game. It's tough to beat Florida State this year. And I think that after that first week, we thought LSU was, wow, they beat Clemson and, oh, maybe Bama is no good. But it's the exact opposite, which is why Florida State jumps LSU. Listen, 2 through 5 are going to be pretty interchangeable. And by the way, I considered Florida State maybe even this mix, so maybe even 6 through 2. So while these are going to look like, oh, one's, higher than others, guys, this is, to me, this whole group behind the number 1 team, again, totally interchangeable. You can convince me that any of them are the second best team, any of them are the 5th best team. So at number 5, I'm going to go Oregon. I think Dante Moore is playing really well. I love his potential. I really like the roster. I like the size and key areas of their team. And I still have some concerns about their run defense. Every one of these teams from 2 to 6, really, or 2 to 5, I love elements of their team, and then there's some elements that give me a little bit of concern. And I think that's okay, and that's warranted in a lot of respects. So the run defense against Northwestern for Oregon wasn't great. They gave up over 200 yards. It was just over 170 yards. I don't want to say anything inaccurate. If you take the sacks and those yardage and you add them back to the rush, because remember in college football, they take sack yardage away from rush yardage. So technically Northwestern only ran it for like 173 or 176 if I'm remembering correctly. The problem is that if you add those sack yardage back and the weird fumble, like all of a sudden it's over 200 yards. So again, the run defense is a concern. I go with them at 5. They've got to face Penn State this week with those great backs. So we'll see how that goes. Speaking of Penn State, I'm going to go Penn State at number 4. So the Nittany Lions come in at number 4. Of all the teams, I think you're probably going to track with this. Do we know the least amount about Penn State? Probably. I think that they're really good. I don't know that they are. Every other team has had some performance where you're like, okay, I kind of get it. I know where the questions are. I know where the strengths are. I think I know all of those things about Penn State. I think. But we're going to find out this Saturday when they host Oregon in the whiteout. So Penn State is going to be number 4. At number 3, I've got Georgia. The win over Tennessee was impressive, in particular with the way that it happened. Give them a lot of credit for that. I've been so impressed with Gunnar Stockton. Down 21-7 in that environment in Neyland, they go up to number 3. You might be tracking here because I've moved somebody way up, and every week I get more and more and more impressed with Miami. And that's right, Miami is number 2. This team is really good. They're great at the line of scrimmage on both sides. Ruben Bain, I think, has been the most impactful defender in college football so far. He and Downs are pretty clearly the 2 best defenders in the sport, and yet Bain has been a bigger impact player thus far this year. Bain has been a game wrecker. No one can block him on the line of scrimmage. The pressure he puts on the opposing quarterback is immense, and yet he's also great against the run, and he also has a great motor and pursues. It's wild how good this guy is. And so with him on the field, that defense is elite, and with Beck on the field, the offense, with their offensive line, can control the line of scrimmage and make plays down the field. I know their offense didn't play like a staggering game against Florida, but 1, Florida's defense is pretty good and very athletic, and 2, it's raining and they did what they needed to do and they still owned the line of scrimmage. So here's a team that is very good on the line of scrimmage. They have some marquee wins. In particular, the Notre Dame game, I still think is a huge win for them. They've got experience at quarterback. They've got one of the most impactful defenders in the country. Miami's number 2. And number 1, I know they were off last week, but it's still going to be Ohio State. They've been, to me, the most impressive team. Again, you lose, 14 draft picks off of your team that won a national championship, had all of that senior leadership. They've got to replace so much on their team. And what do? They come out and it's just reload and go back to business, really. Stayen has been terrific. He's leading the country in completion percentage. He throws it down the field as well. It's not like it's just dink and dunk in order to achieve that completion percentage. Very accurate deep down the field. They've still got Jeremiah Smith, who I think is the best player in college football. You still have Downs, a defense that has reloaded under Matt Patricia. That's a team to me that has been the most impressive, and they're my number 1 team. So there you have it. There's my top 10 list. I did not put it out Saturday night. That's what I would have put out Saturday night. I wanted to wait until right now. So Texas 10, Indiana 9, Oklahoma 8, LSU 7, Florida State 6, Oregon 5, Penn State 4, Georgia 3, Miami 2, and Ohio State 1. Couple of teams that I had to give a shout out because I was debating them at that 10-9 range. I landed on Indiana and Texas. I thought that it was unfair of me to take Texas totally out, in particular with the way that they played against Sam Houston, albeit it's Sam Houston, but whatever. It was a lot better, in particular from Arch. I thought that recency bias just sucked me in on Indiana, and I probably would have done differently if it was last week and I had just come off the A&M win. But I looked at Texas Tech, Alabama, and Texas A&M. Those three teams are right there. And I would just say this about college football. I don't think it's a drastic jump to go from Ohio State to like Texas A&M, who in my rankings would be like 13. That's great for the sport. Like you can't argue. Maybe you can. I don't know. I don't want to tell anybody you can't argue. You can argue anything you want. I would find it really difficult to take the position that college football is worse. I see that a lot. You know, on the comments on this show, some of you will make that comment about like, hey, college football is worse now. You know, oh, I hate college football now. Oh, the money is this and the transfer portal is that. And listen, I don't want to diminish those feelings because you have those feelings for a reason. I just disagree. And I find it hard to agree with this sentiment that somehow college football is not as good as it used to be when the proof is in the pudding. One, the interest in the sport literally has never been higher. The ratings that television companies are getting right now, networks are getting right now is astronomical. The pie is only growing. There's only more interest coming into the sport. And then you look at the parity, the actual competitive product. I don't think that we have ever, certainly in my career covering college football, and certainly even dating back to when I was a player. So now we're going back to basically 2000. There was never this level of parity. At no point in any one of those seasons could you say, hey, really, you know, any team between 1 and 13 could beat any of the other teams on any given Saturday. You really couldn't. And the numbers bore that out. You know, you would look at the record of top 5 teams at home in the history of college football. They don't lose, period. And I'm not suggesting that any of these top 5 teams would lose, you know, next week. All I'm trying to tell you is like, it's not a big jump. There's not a huge gap between Ohio State and Texas A&M. And Texas A&M for me is ranked 13th in the country. I would have Texas Tech ranked 12th and Alabama ranked 11th. That's where I would have them. Tech is really good. More on them in a moment. Alabama, I don't want to play them right now. Ty Simpson looks incredible. Do you want to defend Marcel Reed at Texas A&M? No. And so that's just a little bit. And I say that because immediately when you just put out a top 10, I think it suggests or people take it as if you don't like the other teams or you don't think they're any good. And that's couldn't be any further from the truth. So that's why I wanted to take a moment and just say that. College football is in such an amazing place right now. Indiana is like blowing people out. And it's like, man, Indiana was the center of the college football world for 3.5 hours on Saturday. And that's awesome. That's fantastic. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. And you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.